to the Kiwimana Valley.
Hi everyone, it's Gary here from the Kiwimana Buzz, and today we've got Robin Bedard from near Quebec, is it? Is that right, Robert?
Yeah, I'm just southeast of Monteral, Quebec.
Okay, it's a nice area, isn't it?
Yeah, it's they claim it's the jewel of Quebec.
Yeah, fantastic. How did you get started in beekeeping?
Probably my first real bite from beekeeping, I guess, or my first real sting was I was working outside with my father, and we were building a little addition on the house, and there was this noise coming from overhead. It was quite loud, and it was, it caught my attention. I looked up, and there was a great big black cloud of bees coming. It was a swarm. Someone had lost a swarm, and it was flying by. That caught my eye. So we took off, we followed it, and next thing you know, the beekeeper shows up, and he catches a swarm and puts it in the box and takes it away. That was my first real interest. That would have been back in probably 1980. So from there on, I said, well, that's what I want to do. I watched the guy, I watched him put the bees in the box, and the whole thing, for me at that time, not knowing a thing, just fabulous. Just watching the whole thing, it got my attention. So from then I started.
Oh, fantastic.
I didn't really start into it until probably 85. And then I read. That's what I was told to do by a guy that I watched and learned a lot from. He said, read all you can. He says, everything you possibly read, grab it, read it. And I did. I read for quite a few years on it. And, I played around a little bit here and there, but I didn't really get into it, 100% until about 85.
And what's your favorite beekeeping book?
My favorite beekeeping book, it's probably, it would have to be The Queen and I. It's Wickes Press. I think it's out of Connecticut. I'm not sure. It's just it's easy reading. It's kind of a storyline to it, but the basics are still in there. It's a beginner book. It's nothing, really elaborate where they go into depth and, great depth and detail on things, but it's a good book. I like it.
Okay, that's called The Queen and I.
Yes.
Okay, haven't seen that one. Yeah, it's good. Oh, that's good. I'll have a look at that one. And so, we talked before, but how are your bees going now?
Right now, currently I'm in a dearth. It's the clover is pretty much gone by. They've shut down. They're hungry. They're looking. I'm right at the very start of my alfalfa growth, and when that takes off, that'll keep me booked up pretty good, packed up pretty tight. But right now, my bees are very, very strong. Probably one of the best years on record that I've had as far as beekeeping goes. Production is through the roof. Pollens are through the roof. Numbers of bees are through the roof. The queens are doing very well. Low swarming. I haven't had a swarm in probably 4 years now, so I've been able to stay on top of it.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so, how do you manage your Varroa mite generally?
My Varroa mite is it's an ongoing process. It starts early in the spring and it doesn't end till fall, until I close up. One of the first things that I do is first of all, I run my hives always on a screen bottom board. Even in the middle of winter, minus 40, I got a screen bottom board on. It's one that I've made myself. I've never seen one on the market. It's one that I've taken advice from a guy by the name of Mr. Chaplot, who lives here in the area. He did extensive research on the Varroa mite, and his biggest thing that I saw from him was the distance between the screen and the bottom board, or your sticky board or tray or whatever. I use a metal tray, and I use just the El Cheapo Deluxe mineral oil or vegetable oil, whatever, on it, and that's my sticky surface. But the distance between the screen and that tray has got to be better than 3/4 of an inch. I'm running mine right now at 1.5 inches, and those are on year round. I never take them off. Currently, right now, because we are in summer here, warmer weather, obviously those trays are completely out. But in the spring of the year, I want to clean them out, take a good look at them, wipe them all down so they're perfectly clean, put them back in, and maybe go in and do an inspection, just a quick inspection to see what's going on, depending on temperature and, what's going on outside for weather. But that's my first real indication. Now, what I'm looking for is a mite drop at that point. It's not going to be a really good indication of how strong or how weak the mites are in there, but however, it is going to give me something to go by. If they're really strong, I will sugar dust, in days to come. I will sugar dust them. After that point, every one of my hives, I use a mineral oil fogging. It's a fogging it's actually used for pesticides, treatments and stuff like that, but I'm not doing that. It's just a straight mineral oil. It has to be a digestive or laxative style, so you can eat this stuff. You can take it right out of the bottle and eat it. What I do is I heat this up to a fog. When it comes out at the end of the nozzle, it's not hot enough that it's going to even burn you. You can put your hand right on the nozzle and it's no problem. So what I do is I spray once a week for a month. So that gives me the drones when they're born are 24 days from egg to adult or to emerging from the cell. So I want to cover that whole time. Given that the drones are larger bees and the mites are more attractive to those cells, that's where they're going to be the most of. So I hit them and I don't let them either be born. Those drones are never born in my hive unless I'm using them for mating purposes, but that's another whole nother line. So I want to cover that whole time frame. That's why I go once a week for the month. And you will notice after my first fogging, within 24 hours, I want to pull my trays out again and see what I got. And you'll know that at that point, you're going to see the various throughout the hives, whether or not we have a lot of mites in there or not. That's going to be my first real indication. But that's only live mites that are on the bees. It doesn't tell you what's in the cells at that point being generated. So by doing it for the 4 weeks, I do the full mite control on the drones, the whole drone pupae stage, all the way up through to emergence. I have all that all covered. After that, you're going to notice that your mites are really, really low at that time. I may do a sugar dusting again, depending on if I still see more or whatever, but at that point, I'm done with the fogging. What I always have in my hive is a drone frame. I always run a drone frame. And I'm pulling that drone frame every 2 weeks. And that's how long it takes. The queen is usually quite active on it. It'll hit it right away. I pull the drone frame out, throw it in the freezer, and then I'll do an inspection on that. All the drone frames will be marked per hive, so I know who's who and where that frame came from, out of which hive, and I'll pull out 10 cells out of it. We'll see what I got, and give me a number per 10. That's going to tell me pretty much where that hive stands. It's all pretty basic without getting very depth and great detail into it, but I'll do that, and that drone frame will remain within that hive throughout the whole entire year. And every 2 weeks, all summer long, I'm pulling that drone frame out of there and throwing it in the freezer. And I replace it with another one. So every hive has 2 drone frames. One's either in the freezer and the other one is in the hive. And they just keep rotating them back out. And by fall, I have next to nothing for mites. It's down really, really low. You can do a sugar test, or I've done different things like that, but I don't see the need of it. I will pull that drone frame out and do my, just random 10 cells and check them. And they're down low, and it really has no effect on the bees as far as that goes, as far as I can tell. It does help control my swarming. It works good for me. Works very well.
Yeah, we do a similar thing here with drone management frames. Yeah, we have mesh boards as well, so that sounds good. And so when the mite counts are a certain level, is that when you use the vaporizer, is it? Or the fogger, sorry.
I will use that predominantly every spring, just whether they need it or whether they not. I find that it takes me longer to put, to get my fogger lit and going and then get my protective gear on than it does to actually fog them. It's about 5 seconds per hive. So you walk along pretty quick and do it. It's something that I've seen the results of that for my own personal use. It's one step that I would not go without. You watch even the attitude of the bees afterwards. I mean, after fogging, after like 2 or 3 weeks of fogging, I noticed a dramatic increase in brood. If the bees aren't, losing that blood from within their system, and if they're not fighting off these mites, they seem to do better. So you will see, and I've noticed this in not only my apiaries but others as well, is actual brood count actually will increase by fogging. Whether there's any scientific proof to that or whatever, it's just visual. That's what I see. That's what other beekeepers are seeing as well, and I go with it.
Oh, that's interesting. So the fogging actually increases the brood, you think?
I say it does. I mean, I don't know if there's any real direct link to it or not. In my mind, it kind of makes sense. So you see it year after year, and not only with my bees but with other bees as well within my group, and we do all see and we also do see a difference in attitude as well too. Bees seem to be more calmer. They don't seem to be, trying to fight off a predator. After you fog, by the time you get your protective gear off and you get your fogger away and stuff like that, if you look at the entrance of the hives, the bees are right back to where they were before you started. So I don't see as there's there's a big irritance on the bees for, that time frame that you're doing the fogging within that 5-minute period. I don't see a real big disturbance with them. It's, I actually see a bigger disturbance when I use my smoker, and you puff the smoke into the front door there of the hives. I see a bigger disturbance with that than I do actually with the mineral oil fogging. But the big thing here, it has to be the laxative, digestive. It will be written right on the face of the bottle, and it's readily available everywhere.
Oh, okay. Do you add anything to that other than just the laxative stuff?
That's just straight mineral oil.
Yeah, it's just mineral oil. Okay.
I mean, I know some people have added different oils to it and stuff like that. I've never seen the need for it. You do with what works, and for me that works well, so I go with it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so, what's one thing that you wish you knew now that before you started beekeeping, or when you started beekeeping?
Probably one of the biggest things is I wish I knew I was going to kill so many bees. Every once in a while you come across a little certain thing that you want to try, that you want to do, and everybody's had the failures and successes. One of the things that really stands out in mind is, for different things, is if you haven't failed, then you haven't learned anything. There's been a lot of times, and I've killed bees in a lot of different ways, different things that I've tried, come across. People tell you, there are certain ways of doing things, and you give it a whirl and you give it a try, and you fail. One of the hardest things to do is, after you fail, is to really realize that you have failed. But the biggest thing with that failure is realize that you've learned something, and take what you've learned, for your next step, and also for people, coming up behind you as well. Teach them that it's okay to fail. It's not what you want to do, obviously. I mean, you put all this time and effort, and you come across, you lose out a hive over winter or different things, and it's kind of tough to take. But if you haven't learned anything, you haven't succeeded. And one of the biggest failures, if you do fail and you don't learn from it, that's my biggest failure right there, is when you haven't learned from a failure.
Yeah.
So, most of my failures, I'm glad of at this point. Looking back at it, I'm glad of it. I mean, I learned something from it, and ultimately it makes you a better beekeeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's only a mistake if you don't learn from it, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great philosophy, and if you help other beekeepers with your mistakes, it's always good. So that's kind of what our blog's about. We kind of tell people our mistakes as well as our triumphs. So yeah.
One of the biggest things I tell people is do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
I still have things that I've got to learn as well, and sometimes my biggest lessons come hard. Just to give you an example, and getting back a little bit on that Varroa too, is I had a beekeeper that bought bees from me and everything else, and I was getting her going, I was setting her all up, everything went well, and then all of a sudden she had to move. And so she got a hold of me and she had said, well, would you babysit my bees? And I said, oh, and you know, it's no problem. I can do that. They had overwintered once, gone over one winter. She got them from me one spring, and then the following spring is when she was found out that she had to move away for a bit. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But I want to do it in my yard. And that's something that I tell people, be cautious of bees that you're bringing into your yard. You know, full-fledged hives, be very, very cautious of it. And make sure you really, really know. If you want to know, take them and put them somewhere else, you know, for a bit, watch them, take a look. Well, I tell everybody that. Of course, I don't do that. I bring them right home and I set them right up, right in my apiary. I've got 12 hives surrounding this one hive. And yes, I did. I got hit hard. The thing was infested with mites, just infested. So it took all the rest of my hives, and of course, the mite count just rose. So, I mean, that's one of the things I tell a lot of my students is just because I do it doesn't mean it's right. You better go with what I say, not with what I do.
Yeah.
So I corrected it. It took some time, but I corrected it. I had the eat crow on it. Of course, a lot of people, you know, will bring that up and throw it back at me that, you know, that you better be careful what you're bringing into your yard, and then they'll look at me with a smile on my face. But it's good. It's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, what's the most exciting thing you've experienced since you started beekeeping?
Wow, that's big.
We asked the big questions here.
I do like the teaching part of it. I really do. I enjoy that. I enjoy the enthusiasm of young beekeepers, regardless of their age. I mean, young can range from 0 to 100. I do a lot of mentoring of a lot of different people. That part is very exciting to see the newer beekeepers coming in with the excitement and, you know, the whole thing. It kind of rejuvenates yourself. It brings you back down to when you first started. And it's not the same old, of course, I don't find beekeeping is the same old humdrum thing every year after year. I find it's different every year. It's always constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. And the young beekeepers have the questions that, you know, take you back and make you remember your first years, your first basic steps. And I think that's good. I think it's refreshing for that. And I love swarm catching. That's one thing that I also love about beekeeping. Is I love the whole swarm idea. I don't catch my own anymore. I don't have swarms anymore, but I do catch a lot of other people's. They'll give me a call and yes, I'll run. I'll help them catch their bees. And it's fun watching them. And, you know, one of my best swarms that I can remember, it was a low swarm. I like it. It was a large mound. It was probably 30,000. And it was really low, and it was on a small branch, and it was a massive cluster there. And at this given point in time, the guy that was there was quite young in beekeeping. He was probably a couple of years into it. And as luck would have it, I saw the queen. She was actually circling on the outside of the cluster. Something I've never seen before, but she was actually circling around and around on the outside of the cluster. So I timed it, and I watched her come back around again. And I reached in and I just grabbed a mitt full of bees and I placed them in the box and put the cover on. Within a matter of course, 15 minutes, all the bees that were massive cluster, they had all left and they went into the box. That was one of those things, a textbook, you know, swarm catch that you never get. You know, they're usually 6 feet up in a tree, but this one was, you know, 5 feet off the ground, right there in front of you. Happened to catch the queen off right away, you know, not have to dig through the bees or anything. She was right there on the outside. And it was a good catch. Just put her in the box and just stood back and watched. It was great.
Yeah, I love those ones. They're very rare, aren't they? I said I love those ones that are like 5 feet high and just, you know, on level ground. It's awesome.
Yeah, where, you know, you've got all kinds of room to maneuver, and, you know, usually they're up 60 feet in the tree, and I've caught those before. They're no fun. I took 5 garbage bags down from a tree that was 60 feet in the air with a rope. Go up and place it around it and shake them into it and lower them down. That was my first swarm, actually. It was about 60 feet in the tree, in a great big pine tree. Of course, it has to be up at the top where the branches are small and dangerous to do, but
yeah, absolutely. I had a few like that too, and they get quite feisty too when they've been thrown in a bag. So
yeah.
And they say people swarm, bees never sting you when they're swarming. It's not true, is it? They're a lot more docile, but not as still can be aggressive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And so, what do you think's the biggest issue facing beekeeping in your area at the moment?
Well, I think there's two things predominantly right in here. Obviously, the mites. That's a never-ending battle as far as I'm concerned. It's something that if you turn your back on, it will, take care of you rather quickly. That and nosema. Nosema this year, with this past winter that we had, the bees weren't able to get out in the wintertime as much this year. It was a bad year. So nosema was there. So if nosema was there in the wintertime, it's probably still here. I'm sure there's a lot of hives that, a lot of beekeepers. I'm actually doing where I take and I dissect the bee and I smash it all up and I look at the spore counts, parts per million on nosema, and I'm seeing it's still here. If a beekeeper in this area can handle the nosema and handle the mites, got a good chance of success.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, do you have a microscope to look at those? Do you, or how do you measure those? Yeah, okay. Oh, that's good. How many colonies are you running at the moment?
I think currently right now I'm at 23.
Oh, okay. Well, that's quite a good number.
I will overwinter 10 outside. I overwinter one in my living room, and then I have another one in a friend's bedroom. It's an observation hive that I bring in. I have it in my living room, and I have one. I use the one in my living room as a teaching tool.
Yeah.
Different people. And the other one, the guy uses it. He has it's where his hand, his muscles. It's kind of an arthritis that he has. It's a sort of an arthritis that he has. But what he does is he uses sting therapy. He's used to come here, and I used to sting him throughout the winter. And of course, summer months it was not a problem, but throughout the winter it's hard to get bees. You have to have someone that's crazy enough to have them in their living room.
Yeah.
So he come here and he gets stung. So now he has them. He is definitely allergic to these bees. He cannot get stung anywhere in the torso area. So he gets stung. If he gets stung in the hand, he's fine. And I'm actually seeing resistance to it, where his allergy towards the bees is getting less and less. One of the first few times he would get stung, within minutes his hand would be, massive and almost want to break the skin. Now it's not anywhere near as severe. It will swell, but not to the point of breaking skin. But I am seeing he is seeing resistance to it, where his allergy to the bees is getting less and less. But as far as his joints are concerned, he still gets the same. Within 5 minutes, he's able to, pick up something with his hand, like a coffee cup. But prior to being stung, he had a tough time just picking up a coffee cup. 5 minutes after stinging is fine. He can do what he wants with it. So I said that, I set him up with a hive, and he wants it in his bedroom because of, south facing and stuff like that, where he wanted the hive to, be out of the main part of the house, out of the main traffic. But, so I throw one in there over winter, and he grabs it needed.
Oh, okay. So do you have like a tube to get outside for the bees, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's just a clear plastic tube that I use. It's probably about a foot long. In both applications, mine and his, and they come and go freely as they choose, and it's rather interesting to watch. And it's kind of nice to see your bees over winter too, but typically what happens within those observation hives throughout the winter is happening in your hive outside. If you look when the bees start moving and start actually coming out of the hive within the house and start flying outside, if you take a quick look around the corner, within a matter of minutes, the bees out back are flying too. It's kind of run really close to hand in hand, even though, my bees are in a temperature where, it's 70 degrees, Fahrenheit. Outside, it's nowhere near that. It could be, just about freezing. But you'll see, even though temperatures, their core temperature within the hive is a lot different than what it is here in the house. I mean, they don't have to have that tight cluster. I mean, they are clustered up, but they don't have to have the tight cluster. But you will see just about the same experience inside as outside.
Yeah. Do you find they use more honey during inside ones, or the same?
In the summer months?
Yeah. Oh no, from the comparing the ones outside to the ones inside.
Oh, no. I find the ones in the house, they don't really consume all that much.
Yeah.
They will, but at the same point, I can always feed them if I need to.
Yeah.
But I don't eat very often. I mean, I might just, to give them a treat or something like that. To be a nice guy, I'll give them something. But for the most part, no, I don't find that they eat any more inside than they do outside. I find a bigger difference between races of bees and what they're eating outside than I do as far as bees inside or out. I have Russians that eat nothing. Year after year, they just don't consume a thing. And with my Italians or my Carnolians, there's a major difference there.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
find a bigger difference with that than with the bees inside or out.
Oh, I said you must have understanding housemates to have bees inside.
Yeah, I get a lot of comments on that. So,
yeah.
I roughly will house about 10,000. I try to bring in one of my smaller hives, and I'll have 10,000, both locations.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so despite the Varroa mites, do you have any other pests you're dealing with? I suppose Nosema, eh? You guys don't have hive beetles up that far, do you?
No. Well, the hive beetles are getting closer. It's I don't know if they'll get here or not, but our winters are a little too drastic for them, my theory.
Yeah.
I've never seen the hive beetles, not within my own or in this area. Other than going to other people's hives, I'll go down in the States and I've seen them down in there and things like that. But so I'm 20 minutes from the U.S. border.
Yeah.
So I have gone down and I have seen different beekeepers down, in the lower states that have had them, but I personally have not had them, which is, I'm good. I'm glad with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, I interviewed a guy in Ontario about a month ago, and he's never seen them either. So it's probably the same height. It's probably the same latitude as you, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. He might be a little bit south of me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's for the most part they don't make it up this far, which is I'm okay with that. There's enough going on in the beekeeping world that I don't need that. Hats off the guys that are dealing with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't have it here. Luckily, we do have Varroa mites, but Australia, which is next door, they have hive beetles, but they don't have Varroa mites. So that's good for them. Yeah, they're lucky. Yeah. I think they're the last country in the world actually that doesn't have them. So let's hope it stays that way forever for them. It'd be great. Yeah. So what are your beekeeping plans for the coming season? Is it the end of the season there? We still
we're tickling down.
Yeah.
The best part is gone. So we're over halfway on it.
Yeah. You were saying
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. You were saying they've got you putting them out to alfalfa or something?
Yeah, my alfalfa is. I have a bunch of farms that are right around me, and I have two different yards that are going to benefit from this alfalfa, and that'll be in bloom here in a couple of weeks, and then shortly after that the goldenrod, and that's the end of my season. After that, so it's my honey is up. I think after what I pulled off yesterday, I should be over 300 pounds currently right now. So this will put me up. I hope to see my 500, 600 in there somewhere.
Wow. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, the last few weeks have been great. I've been able to give them a lot of my bigger hives. I've been able to give them just a frame of just foundation, and within a week they'll draw it out, fill it full of honey, and cap it. So if in order I'm one of the ones that always adds a new frame, constantly adding new frames of foundation to my bees and, rejuvenating my stock that way. If the frame starts getting a little bit old, a little bit tattered, it's gone. I don't let the bees repair it. And usually I judge it by the color of the wood. Once the wood starts getting dark on the frames, it's time to go. It's lived its life. A lot of my frames are dated right on the top, so I know how long I've had them in service. And I never let frames go for about 7 years. That's it. Any more than that, they're gone. So I'm constantly adding new frames. And when the nectar flow is as strong as it was in the last little bit, it's a lot more exciting to give them a frame of foundation. And then you see 1 week later, it's going into the extractor. From zero to extractor in a week. I like that. That's strong, heavy flow. And it's fun when it's like that.
Oh, so there must be still a bit of nectar out there for them. Then that's great.
Right now, I noticed last weekend when I went through and I did a bulk of my inspections that the nectar flow we're in a little bit of a dearth right here. So it should pick up again probably by next weekend. Within a week from now, it should pick back up again on the alfalfa. It was planted late. There was a pea crop on it first, so the alfalfa was a secondary crop on those fields. So so the alfalfa will be a little bit later, which works good for me.
Yeah.
I like it when it's drawn out over a length of time than crammed in all one shot. I don't want my alfalfa and my clover at the same time because that's a big flow, and that's you're supering heavy at that point. It's better. You just a lot of back work, so I like it when it's spread out over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, have you got anything else to bring up there, Robin?
I'm getting older.
Yeah, we all are.
One thing that I do is I make all my own equipment, all my own boxes, all that. The handles, I don't know what you have in New Zealand, but a lot of the handles around here that you buy from the major suppliers is they have a cutout groove in them.
Yeah.
I've gotten rid of that. I hate that groove. I've had too many people drop boxes because of those grooves where their hands slip out. Well, I've got one here, and this is something that I've made. I don't know how great you can see this or how close you can see it, but it's just a simple D handle. This is a regular,
yeah.
And it's just a simple D handle. You can get your hand right in there and you can hold that up.
Yeah.
It doesn't slip out. It's just something that I've made. It's all from scrap wood.
That's a good idea.
I don't know where if in your area, but I do have occasionally I run across the bear attack here and there. I've had a few of them where they think they want my bees and my honey more than I do.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll take a 2x4 and I'll run it right down through there. If I see they're coming around in the area, or if I hear they're in the area, I have a lot of people, looking out, different farmers and stuff like that. If they see a bear in the area, they'll let me know right away. I do have electric fences around all my apiaries and all that. That's all there. Some of them are solar, some of them are, plug-in electric, but I'll run a 2x4 down between all my boxes, fasten all my boxes together, and that actually helps.
Yeah.
There's pretty powerful laminal, and if your boxes are together, well, I've never lost a hive to bear yet. I've had numerous attacks where they've pushed them, knocked covers off, stuff like that, but I've never lost a hive to them.
But never got on there. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, apparently the electric fence was actually a New Zealand invention, apparently. Which is
they're a big help. They really are.
Big help. I have heard bears can work around them, but some people, we've interviewed some people in America and they're saying they do actually work them out eventually.
Once they're in, that's the big thing. If a bear gets in, it's coming back. And I've had one incident where my wife called me, and I was away. I was at work, and she called me. She said, "There's a bear in the backyard." So of course I ran home, and I must have been going a little bit too fast because when I drove into my driveway, there was a police officer right behind me, and which was good. And he pulled into my driveway right tight behind me, and of course lights and everything. And asked me, obviously, the same typical question, license, registration, and all that. And I said, good. I'm glad you're here. I see you got your gun. You need it. And he kind of looked at me kind of weird, and I'm pulling out my wallet, and I'm fishing through for my license and registration, and I'm kind of handing it to him, and I'm kind of leading him to the back, and, I'm telling him, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. I need you out back. And he really didn't know what was going on. So he's standing there with my license in my hand, and I'm walking away from him. And I said, come with me. So he did. He came with me. We went out back, and, he goes, what are we doing here? I says, I got a bear in my backyard. Wow. That kind of scared him up a little bit. And he told me at that point that he wasn't allowed to shoot the bear or anything like that. And of course, the bear wasn't there. The bear was long gone. But he informed me that the bear was protected by the federal government, not the provincial government. So he wasn't able to do it. And so I told him that I would shoot the bear, and he told me that I couldn't. He said that's a $1,500 fine. So I said, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. And it was a young cop, so I was having a lot of fun with him too. At the same point, I mean, I was, really, I didn't get a fine for for going fast or anything like that. I kind of took all that away from him, but I told him, give me the fine, and then if I shoot the bear, I'll call you up and let you know I did, and we're good. If I don't, well then, we're good too. It'll be a good insurance policy. But anyway, I didn't get the ticket, but yeah, the bears they do come around from time to time, but luckily I've never had to deal with one. They are around. I've always been able to, get by unscathed, and, noise. I do have radios that'll play with the motion detector. If anything goes in front of my hives, the motion detector will sense it. I have a radio that plays quite loud, and that's very effective.
Okay.
As well as my electric fences.
They don't like music. Yeah.
Yeah, at night a light will come on, and the radio will blast, and of course I hear it. I wake up. I mean, I have 4 yards. One of them is what's here in my backyard. The other ones are out, of course, so I don't hear those radios. But
yeah,
in my backyard is what I use, and that one there works very, very well. The music will play, the bear will run, and that's the end of it. You never see it. You get up in the middle of the night, you look out, and the light is still on because it's on for a time delay, and the light's on, the radio's playing, and there's absolutely nothing around. So I figure it worked.
Yeah, that must be enough to scare them. Yeah, that's a good idea. Any particular music?
It really doesn't matter.
No,
the more irritating it is for you, it's probably the more irritating for them. So.
Okay. Oh, we won't go into what irritating music is because we might have different views. But yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. No, that's great. Well, I really appreciate you joining us today, Robin. I know you got up at 4 a.m. That's really you're very keen. So it's good. It's good to see.
Well, I'm lucky because I haven't woke up the dogs or my wife, so I'm doing well.
Yeah. Oh, that is good. Oh, well, thanks a lot. And how can people get hold of you? Do you know? Have you got a Facebook page? Haven't you?
Yes, I do. I do have a Facebook page.
Okay. Well, it's the happy. What is it? Hive Happenings, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one that I use. It's one I started. Actually, Hive Happenings is the name of our group that we have. And that's where I started with it, and I just kind of abandoned the whole thing. I mean, I still watch the page and stuff like that, but there's not a whole lot that I do with that. The better Facebook account is my own Facebook account that I have.
Oh, okay.
My name, Robin Bedard.
Yeah, and people can drop you a line on there.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make a note of that. I'll friend you up later on. Yeah. Yeah, we have a Facebook page for the kiwimana as well, which is it's quite good. People get involved and put photos on there, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing a fantastic thing. You guys are really doing a good job at getting the word of beekeeping out around. I'm seeing you since I bumped into you. I'm seeing your name come up in a lot of different circles.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great thing there. Getting
the
the
word
word
good.
of beekeeping spread around.
Oh, thank you. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, we're really keen to get urban beekeepers out there and people not to be scared of them and, keep bees. So that's kind of one of our motivations.
Good.
Yeah.
No, I think you guys are doing a great job at it. Keep it up.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. And we'll publish this in a couple of weeks, so you'll become famous.
Oh, good. That's just what I was looking for.
So you're going to be, how much honey have you got to sell this year? Quite a bit, 150, was it 300 pounds? It's quite a lot.
Yeah, what I brought in yesterday is, I've got it here in the settling tank beside me. It was basically a cleanup, where I want to remove all my clover honeys and stuff like that, all my wildflowers. So I went through all the hives and I pulled out the frames that were due. So it wasn't a big pull yesterday, but it was more or less a cleanup, going through them. I know my alfalfa is going to take off here and it's going to start when the bloom starts on that. It's quite massive. So I like to separate my flows.
Yeah.
My spring wildflower flow is one, like without it be within the dandelion and all that. So that's going to be, that's all one separate honey. The next one is my biggest one is my clovers. That's all another flow. And this will be the alfalfa. So I like to separate all those. So this will be well over 300.
Yeah, and customers love that too, don't they?
Yeah, some of them. I mean, if you tell them it's clover, that's what they want. They don't have a clue what it is, but that's what they want. I have some of those. I think everybody does. I mean, clover has here anyway. Clover has the name, and if you tell them it's clover honey, they want it. But there are some that are rather particular what they want for their honeys.
Yeah.
Those are the customers that I really like because they know what they want. I like someone who appreciates the honey for its flavor, not just the name or the title they have on it. And surprisingly enough, a lot of people do not know the difference between one honey to another. These are usually typically the people that buy it in the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
It's a label on it. It says honey. It's 100% pure, but then, you kind of wonder just exactly what's in it.
Yeah, that's probably not real honey anyway, is it? A lot of that stuff.
Well, here I think it has to be 40% natural honey before they can put on that label 100% pure. They have to be at least 40. Yeah, I think it's what it is.
That's crazy, isn't it? It should be 100% pure if they're going to call it 100% pure.
That's my theory. If you come and buy honey from me, you're buying 100% pure honey. The only thing, it's filtered. That's it. That's all. That's all I do to it.
Exactly.
I take the bee wings out of it and the legs and stuff. That's not always filtered. But it's. I don't like people who don't really know what they want. And, I give them different flavors. I'll give them samples of it and different things. To get them on track to what they want for a flavor. You'll convert people a lot faster with it. And most people, after they've had your honey to the grocery store honeys, they're going to come back to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your product is going to speak for yourself.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you want real honey, you should try and find your local beekeepers and support them. It's a good message to tell people.
That's where it's all at right there. It's your local beekeeper is usually probably one of your better suppliers of honey. He's going to be, it's not going to be on that shelf for X amount of years. He's not going to wipe the thick years of dust off the bottle to give it to you. It's
exactly.
Here, they're going to sell out. Whatever they produce, they're going to sell out. So that next year what you're getting for honey is from that year.
Absolutely, Robin. And we've got good stories too. So Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, we'll shut down there now. So thanks for joining me, Robin. It's been fantastic. Just stay on the line there, and I'll just talk to you a bit more. But thanks for joining us, and we'll give you a call when we've got this up and running. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Cheers.
Good, I appreciate it.